Welcome to Wine and Real Estate, the podcast where we drink wine, we have fun, and we learn about real estate investing. Real estate investing is so much more than just buying buildings. It's about building relationships, building your dreams, building your dream lifestyle, customizing your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? It's much more than money. It's more than getting rich. It's a different type of wealth. It's the wealth of time, the wealth of freedom. And now let's get to the wine and the real estate.
Hey, wine and real estate listeners, it's Jason Lowe from episode number 129. At Ascendant Financial, ibcforme.com, we specialize in teaching real estate investors all across Canada the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept. Do you also find it frustrating when it becomes difficult to access the financing that you need, or when interest rates in the housing market moves against you? And when there's unexpected prolonged vacancy or expensive repairs, are you tired of transferring all that money away from you? We have the solution at ibcforme.com. By becoming your own banker, anything that you're already doing financially, including real estate investing, is radically improved. Whether utilizing this process for down payments or for entire real estate purchases, becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept, puts you in a position of total and absolute control over the repayment schedule of your loans while enhancing your overall returns. So whether you're a new real estate investor or a seasoned real estate investor, we believe that ready access to money to take advantage of high caliber opportunities and all the financial control should be in your hands, not the bank's and not some loan officer. We have an exclusive and irresistible package for wine and real estate podcast listeners. And so if you want the best way to build and deploy capital, easier access to money, better returns, less headaches, head on over to ibcforme.com. That's ibcforme.com.
Hello, everyone. So wine and real estate tonight, and at this recording is very different. We're doing water and real estate. So yeah, water. And who would have thought? I'm doing 75 hard right now, so can't drink wine or alcohol. And it's actually good. First 5 days, I didn't miss it. Now I'm at day 17. I do miss it. So I walked past a nice wine bottle. I'm like, yeah, I would like some. And it's quite a challenge. But anyway, aside from that, I have an awesome guest today, Elias from Gatineau, a realtor and a real estate investor himself. And Elias, I'm really excited to catch up with you. We've met in person pre-pandemic, and then I think during the pandemic as well. And now, anyway, we get to catch up and hear what you're up to. And I want to explore a bit your market as well. Gatineau is often overlooked by investors, but I think there's some great opportunities. Quebec in general is kind of ignored because people are scared, or like there's a language barrier, and there's also some different laws, but there's also some different opportunities. That's why I like living in Ottawa. You can go to Quebec. The restaurants are like a few notches above. There's a few good things, many good things in Quebec. So lots of great people as well. So welcome. And if you could tell us about yourself, like your story and how you became a realtor.
For sure. Thank you so much, by the way, Francois, for having me on the show, on the podcast. Yes, like you said, we know each other from pre-pandemic as we were meeting in the same investment circles and people. So a little bit about myself. So I've started to invest in 2016 here in Gatineau, Quebec. This is where I grew up.
So Elias is a realtor from Gatineau, and how did you? So 2016, you got started in investing, and then what gave you the drive? Like, because I think you had a good job back then, and you're just like, why spend more money on real estate?
Yeah. Well, actually, Francois, before 2016, I was 22, had lots of debts, and I was actually I came to a realization that I could not improve my life going this way. So at that age, I decided to take another job, pay off my debts, save for a down payment, and I decided to purchase my first duplex in 2016.
Cool. Instead of a single house. So you were already smart about it. You're getting out of debt and you're creating some passive We'll
Exactly.
say it in brackets, passive income.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I was lucky enough to read several self-development books.
Okay.
One of them was Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's a classic. A lot of people read it, and I also end up reading one of my favorite books called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, yes, I've heard about that one.
Yeah, and in that book, one of the main recommendations is basically to own the roof where you live, under which you live, or at least
Yeah.
have one. Yes. So I read that early enough in my life, and this is what led me to 2016 to buy and purchase my first duplex. So I ended up holding that duplex for 3 years. I made all the best mistakes you can think of. Yes, as a new landlord, I didn't had any mentor back then, so I made a few honest. Of course, there were challenges. I made a few honest mistakes back then, but this is the best learning experience. This is how you learn
It
best.
is.
Yes, exactly. So I held it for 3 years. I ended up selling that investment, and since then I've purchased two duplexes, which I still have.
Great.
I live in one unit, so basically I'm house hacking currently. And this, Francois, I've done this while working full time for the government, and also while going to school almost full time as a bit in business administration.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You're an ambitious guy.
Well, I try. I like to undertake 10 projects. I'm gonna drop maybe six, but I'm gonna get four done at least. You
Well,
know.
that's it. And let's say you tried one, then you'd get one done. But because you tried 10 and you got four, well, that's a 400% increase. So I love it.
Exactly. And I'm just, without realizing, quoting the 10x book from Grant Cardone. You know, like
Yes.
whatever you have, like aim high. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a big part of life. Like if you start small and you think small, you'll stay small. But if you go big, you might make some mistakes, like you said. That first duplex wasn't perfect, but that's how you
Exactly.
grow.
100%. And those mistakes, believe it or not, Francois, are actually the best part in my current job as a realtor, because
Great.
when I work with new investors or even other investors, I have lots of ways of sharing with them about situations. I also help them in the analysis process when it comes to
Okay.
analyzing leases and stuff like that. So there are parallels I can make with my experience as an investor and my current job as a realtor.
You know what not to do.
Kind of, yes, exactly, totally. And basically, it's one of the ways I add value to what I'm doing with my current customers.
Great. No, I love that. I love when it's an investor focused realtor that has gone through hell with tenants and issues. And it's important because people always talk about the good things and that you're making money and scaling, but there's also kind of a darker side. But you came out of it stronger than before. Now you have 4 units instead of two, and now you have a great marketable skill as well. You can use that to your buyer's advantage. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about Gatineau? Like because it's quite a big area. If people look at it on the map, Gatineau, there's the old city of Gatineau. Now there's Hull and Aylmer and all the old towns. And
Yeah.
where are the areas of opportunity in your opinion?
Exactly. So you're absolutely right, Francois, when you're saying that Gatineau is a big town.
Yeah.
It takes about 40 minutes to cross the whole city.
End
So
to end. Yeah,
yeah,
it's long.
exactly. It starts in Elmer on the west, and it ends up in Buckingham in the
No,
east.
that's right. I forgot about Buckingham.
Yeah, exactly. And if you, so it's a very the city is very stretched, and we have here 5 sectors, so 5 main areas of the town. So we have Elmer, which is a very anglophone and English. There's a lot of anglophones living in Elmer. We have Hull, which is the most central part of Gatineau, and this part is the closest also to Ottawa. So most of the bridges are connected to Hull. We also have Gatineau, which is an area within Gatineau, and it's
Yeah.
it's Gatineau's largest suburb. So this is where we see the most house, the most houses. And at the far end, we have Masson-Angers and Buckingham. So two smaller sectors, two smaller areas. But those areas are holding lots of potential because the city is expanding, is heading eastwards, and there's more and more buildings. So there's lots of opportunities there to purchase lands, and houses there are more cheaper than the ones we find in Elmer, in Hull, and in Gatineau.
Yeah, Elmer tends to be a bit pricey. First of all, because of the language, there's more English schools, so a lot of Ontarians are moving over. They're getting a bigger house for less, but they continue to live in English and different things. And then you've got that one bridge, I forget the name, but what is it called?
Champlain.
Yeah. So direct to Elmer, it's busy, but it's not too bad. The Hull bridges can be something else depending when you're crossing. And Gatineau proper, like the old city of Gatineau, has tons of green space. And didn't they build a rapid bus line of some kind in the downtown core? So eventually it could become a light rail. So great opportunities in the city in general. And Gatineau is very pro densification, from what I understand. I think they allow secondary dwellings and even tiny homes somewhere. And
we're not there yet quite with the tiny homes. We're getting there. I know Ottawa has policies, similar policies, but in terms of densification, you're right on, Francois. So the town is very pro densifying. You know, they're very in favor of densifying the core of the city, which is Hull, the Hull area, and yes, so we're seeing more and more. So we're seeing more and more constructions there, and exactly
infill, like especially Hull. There's a lot of old, not so nice homes, so you can tear them down and rebuild. Exactly. And the old Hull area is quite nice. Lots of shops and things happening there. It's an interesting area, and there's some big condo towers along the river. You have gorgeous views of Ottawa, which is funny.
Yeah,
like when I cross on the Quebec side, I'm like, wow, okay, Ottawa does look nice from this side. So.
Yes, yeah, we have a nice panoramic view from our side to Ottawa. And if I can also add, Francois, one of the best things about Gatineau is that, in my opinion, you basically have the same quality of life in Gatineau compared to Ottawa, but the prices of houses is really there's a significant difference in the prices of houses. Yeah, when we're talking about a single family fully detached home, we're talking about a $200,000 difference purchasing in Gatineau rather than in Ottawa. Wow. So we're very competitive, having the same level of, again, the quality of life. However, we have, of course, there's nothing perfect. Our roads sometimes tend to not be as of the same
more quality.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and the health system sometimes is also is much better in Ottawa for sure. But nonetheless, we do attract lots. We did attract actually, and we're still attracting lots of buyers from Ottawa.
Yeah,
and this is what actually maintained our market to a. So again, the pace of the market doesn't stop. We're still seeing multiple offers on some property.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
On some property, again, and that's one of the good things here in Gatineau is that we kind of have a microclimate because of Ottawa. So we're still competitive, and there's still some action here in Gatineau.
Yeah, and there's some really nice homes, nice neighborhoods, lots of nature and trails. And Chelsea, you can get to that. Wakefield, like some nice areas. You can get to the mountains quite easily.
Oh yeah.
And there's also higher education. So there's a university as well that's not very well known, the Université du Québec en Outaouais, and it's growing, which is great as well. I know that they're also starting to teach the Quebec bar there and a few different things. You can become a lawyer in Quebec if you want. And education is much more affordable for Quebecois people because you pay, I think it's less than half of what we pay here. Yeah. So tons of advantages if you're going to live there. And also as an investor, I'm not sure what it's called, a Régie du Logement or something. It's kind of like the landlord and tenant board. is quite tough in Quebec, but there are opportunities. I've heard you've had experiences. Can you maybe give us some insights on what to do and what not to do?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So I compare investing in Quebec, and actually investing is a bit similar in anywhere you invest, François, in real estate. It's like a game, a board game. It's important to know the rules,
Yeah.
or to have an understanding of the rules before playing, or at least be work with someone that has an understanding, a proper understanding of the rules. Because if not, of course, you can easily make some pretty expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have some tighter rules compared to other provinces. Again, I'm not a specialist in tenant laws in other provinces, but I know that here in Quebec, the hikes, so rent hikes, are pretty regulated. Although there's no set criteria or set amount, tenants can easily contest, of course, a rent increase. We have also, again, it doesn't come up to my mind, but there's things here in Quebec, tenant-wise, that you cannot do compared to other provinces.
Yeah, one big one that stands out to me is tenant turnover. So in Ontario, when people leave, you can, let's say you were renting for $1,000, you could jack it up to 3,000. In Quebec, you can't. You have to justify, we renovated, blah, 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 and now it's worth $3,000. The next person that comes in could say, no, you did renovate, but it's worth 15. And so there's some negotiating happening. But there is a shortage of housing. So some people could, but I think people are maybe a bit more hesitant. So yes, do your due diligence, just like you said. Know the rules and the risks. But I think I coach people. I have a few students that are investing in Gatineau, and they're doing very well, and they're doing massive renovations, so they have no issues increasing their rent massively.
Yes, and when you and a fun fact also, François, that supports what you're just saying, is that here in Gatineau we have the highest, some of the highest market rents in the whole Quebec.
Yeah.
Big time. And sometimes I say some, but we're very close to the ones in Montreal. They're the only ones against which we're competing in that category. So yes, maybe our prices are a bit higher compared to other cities in Quebec or townships, but our rents are also more attractive.
Yeah, because you're getting federal workers, people from Ontario. They're used to paying very high rent in Ottawa. I think Ottawa is like number 2 in Ontario now for highest rents. Like there's Toronto, of course. We're nowhere near that. And then there's Ottawa, and then Gatineau is not far behind. So to people, it's like, oh, this is a bargain. I get a much nicer place for less. So great opportunities. So Elias, what did you quit the government job, or do you still do it part-time, or I'm curious?
So basically, François, I took a year off.
Okay.
So the way it happened, and it's a good question you're asking me, François, is because in my planning was, so just to put you into context, when COVID hit, I noticed that I was forced to telework. Okay, so I was working 5 days, like everyone, from home. And I realized that by doing that, I was saving at least 2 to 3 hours of commuting every day.
Change your life.
Exactly. So I said, hey, that's an opportunity. I cannot let this slip. Okay, I have to take advantage of this. So I said, hey, I always, not always, but I mean, I wanted to become a realtor I was passionate about real estate and investing. I was a real estate investor. And I said, you have everything, Elias. I have years of experience with working with clientele. I said, Elias, let's merge the both and take your realtor license. This way you can work with people and help them buy real estate as well. So I took my real estate license during COVID. So when I finished my real estate license last year, I started to work as a real estate agent in April of 2022. And let me tell you, François, that I thought that this could be done part-time, But working as a realtor, it's impossible to do this part time. It's we
So
when
much
you,
work.
exactly, when the phone rings, you have to be there. You have to be there, and time is of essence in this job. Time management is. I've never seen time. I've never had to manage time so much than in this job. Uh,
Yeah.
so yes, when I saw that, I had to pull the ejection seat. So from my full time job, so I put that on hold for a year. I'm focusing on my realtor career as of right now.
Great.
To manage my sanity, because both of them, it's impossible.
No, that's important because you have to be a whole firm yourself. Like you need to market yourself, you need to find listings, you need to show listings. And with a city that big, like you said, 40 kilometers or 40 minutes end to end, let's say you have a showing in Buckingham and then half an hour later in Aylmer, that doesn't work.
That's right.
Depending on time of day, anyway.
You're absolutely right. You're literally a business owner, so you
Yeah.
manage everything. You manage social media, your marketing, your branding, your customer relations, your accounting. You do it basically everything. Um, so so it's pretty intense. So you have to be really focused when you're doing this type of job.
And that's kind of why I wanted to interview you as well, because I meet people all the time. I want to become a realtor. It looks like fun. I'm sure it's rewarding,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of work behind it. Like it's not easy. Just like you
It's
said, you
it's
can't do
yeah,
both.
you cannot. And I've to be frank, I've done a bunch of jobs in my. I'm 31, and I've done a bunch of jobs in my life. But I could tell you that this is one of the toughest jobs I've done. Reason would be, Francois, is because you have to be. Uh, you cannot. So it's not a job that forgives very easy. When you do a
Yeah,
mistake, if you do a mistake, it could cost a lot. You see. So
reputation is
yeah,
everything.
yeah, you have to be there. Exactly, you have to be super focused, um, constantly refresh your knowledge about how do you do transactions. You have to be there on lots of fronts.
And numbers, like you need to know the value of a house and a property constantly, like different neighborhoods, and people ask you,
Yes,
is this worth more? It's got granite, this one has a garage, and you need to know like all the different areas. And you're dealing again in a city that's so diverse. Gatineau goes from like countryside to very urban core with like condos and then little townhomes, and Buckingham is like a small town, and Aylmer's got kind of language differences and
oh yeah,
all kinds of things going on. So it's a challenge, interesting challenge,
it
but
is.
a
It
challenge
is. Yes,
nonetheless.
and you're right, Francois. When I was before becoming a realtor, I thought, hey, this will be fun. This will be. I had all
Yeah,
the stereotypes. This is easy. They're making easy money there.
yeah, just sitting back answering some calls and
Smiling on pictures, taking, no, hey, it's actually, yes, there's a component of that, but what you don't see off, so backstage there's so much happening. And it's also very interesting the way we work together as realtors. Although we compete against each other, we also collaborate a lot. And in realtors, you think that they're competing always against each other, but they collaborate a lot. They support each other a lot. And of course, we are regulated by the Realtors Association here in Quebec, DOS6. So you cannot do anything you want. It's a very regulated job. The rules of the game are extremely clear and must be followed. So yes, there's no room to too much room to wiggle.
no, and it's not cheap too. Like I'm not sure which firm you're with, but sometimes you have to pay like a fee for your desk, and then the name, the brand name, if it's like Remax or some well-known
So
firm as well. And
So that's a very good point, Francois. So yes, in my case, the fees are around. So let's say you don't sell any house in a month,
nothing.
you will still have to pay. I pay around $650 of fees every month. This is just to cover the license, insurance, the
Yeah.
realtors board, stuff like that. So, but the good thing is that you are your only limit. So you can, there's no
No
ceiling on,
cap.
there's no cap on the income you can make. It's just you. It's left to you to just work smart and go get it.
And be disciplined. So I want to encourage you, Elias,
Yes.
to continue as well,
Thank
and
you.
let you know that because you've got your license in Quebec and in Canada, like you said, it's tough getting it, it's tough keeping it.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of other countries have opportunities for realtors to become realtors in other countries. So before we came on air, I know you mentioned Brazil was maybe of interest. I don't know Brazil very well, but I do know Costa Rica, which is kind of a similar climate. I'm sure Brazil is similar, but they're looking for realtors from North America, and there's huge opportunity there. So for you at some point later on, nothing is preventing you from maybe taking a 4 month long trip and selling real estate in other countries, and leveraging all that experience you've gained in Quebec and in Gatineau as well. So
I love it. Really love it, and I love what you're saying, Francois. It's fun. It's funny because I also learn. Uh, I'm a big fan of Duolingo and learning Spanish. Right,
yes,
through that app, every morning I try to do a lesson. So who knows? That's and I'm always open to lots of projects. The market is becoming more and more unpredictable, I'd say. So
yes.
I enjoy these conversations and learning about what you're saying about opportunities to invest in Costa Rica. You never know when you can connect the dots one day in life, and
Yeah. And it's, I mean, as a realtor, like you said, the work ethic in some countries, like in Costa Rica, it's not regulated. So I could just go and become a realtor. So the more reputable firms
yeah.
out there are asking for people to get their license from their country of origin.
Okay.
Or if they're locals, like in Costa Rica, there is an association, but it's not the law. Like, just, I could be on a street corner, I'm a realtor. So
Wow.
big
Yeah.
difference. Like you said, the game in Quebec is, there's very rigid rules. Same with Ontario. I mean, you got to be transparent. And now BC as well, there's a cooling off period. Like, it's quite tough and volatile at the moment as well, with interest rates going up. People are
Yeah.
panicking. But I'm
Mhm.
glad to hear Gatineau is doing well and you're still getting multiple offers. Wow.
Yeah.
Very different from Ontario right now. Here it's more like it's for sale and it will sell eventually.
Yes, exactly. But I tend to believe, Francois, and regardless of the market, there are always
Oh
opportunities,
yeah.
and like your mindset must be that of adaptation. Because those who adapt survive, tend to
Yeah.
survive. So yeah.
But exactly, even with the higher interest, there's
Oh yeah.
always people, let's say, coming from Toronto, then Ottawa's a bargain to them, or Vancouver, that's like really a bargain here.
Yeah.
And who knows, like somebody has been putting up with a townhouse, they want a bigger house, and now's the time. So they'll still do it. It's just, it's not as mad as it was. It's more, it's
Yeah.
quieter. So you got to be available. And
Yeah, totally. And I try also to just explain to my buyers or clients that, when the interest rate goes up, and this, by the way, doesn't come from me, it comes from one of my mentors, investor mentors. I know you're also mentoring Francois, and one day
yeah,
I'd love to talk.
that's okay.
Exactly. I have Alfonso Quadra. I don't know if you must know
Yeah, he's
him.
awesome.
Yeah, no,
The
great guy.
godfather of real estate.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's a gentleman, yes. And one of his quotes is that when the interest rate goes up, price must come down.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. So we're just adapting. We just negotiate more on the price, and eventually the interest rate will go down, and the buyer will be winning more than will be. It's going to be in the favor of the buyer.
Oh, that's it. And it's becoming more of a balanced market, while it was just insane. Like, people were buying places like sight unseen, no inspection, nothing. Now it's a lot more decent. Well, maybe not in Gatineau though, from what I understand, but Ottawa, you can put an offer conditional on financing, conditional on inspection, which is, it's a big deal. Like, you're spending hundreds of thousands, if not a million or more. So you should be able to do your due diligence. You're not buying underwear. Like, you
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
like it. It's like, worst case, I guess, underwear, you chuck it, but a house that you're kind of stuck with it for a while. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. So yeah, I like to say funny things like
Hey, you're absolutely right, Francois. It's like where a house purchase, it can make or break you in
yeah,
life. I say sometimes that a transaction can change your life, and if you make the wrong transaction with the wrong people, sometimes you can end up in a bad spot, right? So, but you're right on, and Francois, and absolutely.
So, Elias, if my listeners want to buy in Gatineau or find out more, how can they reach you?
Hey, my phone number is 819-664-6884. I'm a phone guy. You guys can give me a ring anytime, or you can just reach me on Facebook, social media, Elias Toth, or again, eliastoth.com is my website. Exactly. So I'll be able to help them. The good news, by the way, Francois, just letting you in before the end of the show, is that I'm also partnering up this year. I'm partnering up, sorry, with a top realtor here in Gatineau. I'm going to be working in his team. His name is Marty Waite. He's one of the top realtors
Oh,
in
cool.
Gatineau. Yeah,
I've heard his name before. Great.
exactly, absolutely. No, he's a great guy, and regardless of the requests of the buyer or the seller, with this team we can handle basically any transaction,
Commercial and
commercial, residential, and also you can count on my experience, on me to share my experiences and help clients to buy the best deals here in Gatineau.
amazing. That's great. And it's important to be part of a team. And as you mentioned, to be mentored as well. A lot of people want to be kind of a lone wolf, but it's not good. It's good to have somebody around to bounce off ideas. And I'm glad you're part of a good group there that's helping you grow
Yeah.
and scale and evolve. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure. We'll have to catch up and see what happens in a few months or a year's time. And hopefully I get to see you in person as well soon. And thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Francois. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, Wine and Real Estate listeners. Jason Lowe here from episode number 129. Access to financing and dealing with the banks can be frustrating. We've all felt it. Every payment that you make, whether it's the mortgages, property taxes, repairs and maintenance, unplanned vacancy, every single transaction is a permanent transfer of money away from you, making the wheels of the banking business and the real estate business turn. In other words, you're doing all the work and everyone else is getting all your money. Let me show you everything that I know from my 15 years of experience teaching people the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept all across Canada. All you need to do is head on over to ibc4me.com. Again, that's ibc4me.com, and I will give you the blueprint to solve the problem. Again, that's ibc4me.com. Whatever your real estate and wealth building goals are, I promise you the infinite banking concept is the best process to get you there. I encourage you to take the next step. Simply head on over to ibc4me.com. Again, that's ibc4me.com. And if you think you can't afford to do that right away, well, let me tell you, you can't afford not to discover this. I truly believe that what you'll learn will open your eyes to a whole new financial world.
Hey there, listeners. We hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the Wine and Real Estate podcast.
Yes, absolutely. You can find us on Instagram. Our handle is wine_and_real estate. So wine and real estate. On Facebook, FL Homes Corp. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel.
Yes, and please make sure to give us a rating, 5 stars, or any comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we love suggestions as well. Cheers.
Yeah, chin chin.